Hi friends, today we are going to see the past year NEET questions for the chapter Animal Kingdom, and today in this video we will cover part 3. Now let's begin with the question which was asked in the year 1992. The simplest type of canal system found in Porifera is dash. So what is Porifera? They are sponges, right? Sponges are the members of the phylum Porifera and they have a basal metazoa clad as a sister of Diploblast. They are multicellular organisms that have bodies full of pores. Okay, they have bodies full of pores and channels allowing water to circulate through them, consisting of a jelly-like mesophile which is sandwiched between the two thin layers of the cell. So what is canal system? What do they comprise of? They comprise of network of channels. Okay, they comprise of networks of channels. See, the main important characteristic of a sponge is the water absorption. We all know that, right? Which is very important feature of a sponge. Ascaris type of canal is the simplest form which is found in Porifera, which brings in food, oxygen and also carries away the carbon dioxide and the nitrogenous waste from the Porifera. Therefore, the correct answer to this question is option A. Okay, next one. What is correct about Tinea? So you have 4 options here. We'll analyze one by one. Male organ occur in posterior. Okay, male organ occur in the anterior prochlortides. Okay, female organs occur in anterior prochlortides. See, the body of the Tinea is usually the appearance will be like a ribbon-like structure, and they will be divided into segments which are called as proglottoids. Okay, each proglottoid has one or more or it can be 2 sets of male and female reproductive organs. So mature proglottoids will contain both male and the female organs. Therefore, the correct answer is option D. So already we discussed about Tinea. There is several organisms which come under that. Tinea is the family name, but you have several species which come under them. Solanum, Agneta, all these are among Tinea. They are also once again worm infestations that occur in humans and other organisms. And the correct answer to this question is option D. Okay, each proglotid has 1 or 2 sets of male and the female reproductive organs. Next question here. Ascaris larva is called as dash. Okay, what do you mean by Ascaris? We already discussed it's a worm, right? Apart from that, it is also found in the large and the small intestine of human. Ascaris lumbricoides is the most famous one, which is said to infect or affect humans, and they cause a disease called or termed as Ascariasis. Okay, other than that, what else you can talk about this Ascariasis? See, now I just said there is a disease called Ascariasis. So how can you find out if you have Ascariasis? Abdominal discomfort, abdominal cramping, fever, coughing, nausea, vomiting, passing of roundworms and their eggs in the stool sample. So mostly when it comes to a protozoan diseases, there is always a diagnosis part. The diagnosis will always involve the stool sample examination. Okay, this is very predominant diagnosis part that they do for a protozoan disease. Now the Ascaris larva. Okay, we are talking about the larva. Now this larva, if you see, it's usually what do they contain? How can you describe it? See, the most common Ascaris worms is the Ascaris lumbricoides and others, which typically infect pigs and humans. They're commonly known as giant intestinal roundworms. And what do they contain? If you see, they will contain eggs. Okay, so Ascaris will actually live in the large intestine predominantly and sometimes also found in small intestine. So the Ascaris larva is called as rhabditiform. So what is it called as? Option B. It is called as rhabditiform. Correct answer is option B. Okay, next question here. Bladderworm or cystrus is the larval stage of dash. So here and again you have 4 options here. What are the 4 options? Tapeworm, pinworm, roundworm and liver fluke. So when we talk about protozoan diseases, we know it is all about the worm infestations, right? They include worm infestations. Apart from that, there are different forms of worm, flatworms, roundworms, and mostly I told you that these kind of worms are said to infect infect children, because they tend to have a, when they come to a cleanliness, they are quite low in that because they don't wash and eat. They have certain things that they don't do correctly. So they are mostly seen in children. Now this bladder worm or cystrus is the larval stage of which one? It belongs to the tapeworm. Okay, bladder worm are cystrus larval forms of tapeworm. So how do tapeworms look? They look segmented. Okay, therefore the correct answer to this question is option A. Next question here, the excretory structure of flatworms Tinea are dash. What are they asking us? The excretory structure of flatworm Tinea are dash. So again you have four options here. What is Tinea? First of all, it's a worm, right? What else you can talk about Tinea here? See, there are many other uh, species which come under this Tinea. As I already said, you have Agneta, then you have Sosum, and you have many other organisms. So what is this Tinea? If you see, it belongs to the genus, basically the genus is under tapeworms. Okay, that includes some important parasites of the livestock. Members of this genus are responsible for teniasis, and they are mostly cysticercosis, which causes cysticercosis in humans, which are a type of helminth disease belonging to a group of neglected tropical disease. So when we say helminth, it is related to blood. That also we spoke about in the earlier chapters. Now the excretory structures of the flatworms of Tinea, how do they look like? They look like flame cells, it seems. Okay, which absorb the waste materials from the body and they discharge into their excretory duct. Therefore, the correct answer to this question is option A, flame cells. Okay. So the answer for this question is option A. Fine. Now let's move to the next question here. Classification of Porifera is based on dash. So symmetry is common, branching is common, reproduction also is common. But classification for Porifera, when we talk about sponges, they are based upon the spicules. What are these spicules actually? They are minute sharp-pointed object or structure that is typically present in large numbers, such as fine particles of animals. They are short-lived, relatively small radial jet of gas in the chromosphere. When we talk about astronomy part, we can comprise it like this. Now when we talk about the biology part, okay, what are they made up of? They are mineralized substances which are made up of calcium carbonate and silica, while others are made up of organic substance called spongin. Spongin skeletons are used as scrubbers and bathtubs were very expensive. So this spicule, in case of sponges, okay, they have a special you can also call them as structural elements, it seems. What you can call it as? Structural elements. Okay, they are mostly predominantly found exclusively in sponges. They provide structural support. Large spicules are visible to the naked eye and referred to as mega, while smaller are microscopic, which you can view it under a microscope. So how can you classify Porifera? It's based upon the spicules that is present in their body. While branching, reproduction, symmetry, if you see, most of the organisms are common, because reproduction, there are only two means, by asexual and sexual. So again, you can't classify. So when you talk about sponges, the exclusive classification begins with spicules. The correct answer is option B. Okay, next question here. Ascaris lumbricoids infection occurs through dash. This is a very easy question for you to answer because we already discussed about it. So anything that is contaminated with the eggs or the cyst of this organism, when it is intaken by the host gets naturally affected. Yes, it is by contaminated cooked measly pork. As we already saw, they predominantly infect pigs and then humans, because when we intake unproperly cooked meat of pork, of pigs, what happens? These eggs which are present in the pork survives the heat, and once it enters the host, that it starts to grow and multiply. Ascaris enters into the human by eating the semi-cooked or improperly cooked pork, which is contaminated with this particular worm called as Ascaris. So you will not actually find them in the form of worms, because when we find them in the form of worms, we can understand, we can throw it. But here the infestation is in the form of eggs. That is why we do not identify that. So it is always important to cook the meat properly and intake. Option B is the right answer. Next question here. Okay, oncospore. So here we are talking about oncosphere occurs in dash. Okay, now first of all, what is oncosphere? First of all, what is oncosphere? How can you describe that? Okay, so what is oncosphere? First we will describe about that. So how can you describe them? See, oncosphere, a tapeworm that has 6 hooks and in the earliest differentiated stage is called as hexanth embryo. Apart from that, how can you describe oncosphere? You actually call them in the form of excanth. Okay, how do you define, how can you define that? It is in the form of like this. Okay, excanth. Okay, apart from that, you also have to remember that this particular oncosphere, okay, it is mostly predominantly found in tapeworm. Other than that, any other definition that you can add on is it is also exclusively occurring in Tinea. Okay, so Tinea is one among that. Oncosphere occurs in Tinea. Option C is the right answer. See, it's the larval form of the tapeworm. So what is it called as? Larval form of tapeworm. So out of the 4 options given here, Tinea is actually a tapeworm. So the correct answer is option C. Larval form of the tapeworm, once it gets ingested by an intermediate host animal, the intermediate host must ingest the tapeworm eggs either in the form of food or water. Once this has happened, the eggs will hatch and develop into oncospheres, which will then burrow through the gut wall of the intermediate host in order to access the organs in the other tissues that are present in the host. So what is oncosphere? It is the larval form of the tapeworm. The correct answer is option C, Tinea. Tinea solinum is a species name. Solinum is a species name. The correct answer is option C. Next question here. It's once again about Tinea sagnata. Differs from Tinea solinum in which category? Okay, the answer is very easy. Both belongs to the same family, Tinea, but the species alone differs. So how can you differentiate among the species? It is because of the absence of solix hooks and uterine branching. Okay, Tinea sagnata will actually I'm talking about sagnata. We already discussed in the earlier parts where I said that rostellum will not be present in sagnata. Right, this will be absent. So with this you can easily categorize between sagnata and solinum because rostellum is present in solinum but absent in sagnata. Therefore, the absence of the solix hooks and the uterine branching will help in differentiating between the 2 species of the same family. Therefore, the correct answer is option B. Okay, next question here. Transfer of Tinea to the secondary host occurs as dash. Once again, this is a very easy answer for you because we just now discussed about it. So the infestation should happen as a contaminated, in the form of contaminated food or water. So here, when it enters into the intermediate or the secondary host, it has to be ingested by the host, and once it is ingested, the eggs will hatch and it will start to multiply, and once it starts to multiply, it will start burrowing the intestine of the particular host and thereby gain access to the rest of the organs and the tissues of the host. So this I already explained in the earlier question. The correct answer, yes, the correct answer is oncosphere. The eggs of the Tinea pass out through the human feces, which are eaten by by the animals which are present there. So what happens? They get infested and that's how the multiplication continues. Therefore, the correct answer is option A. Okay, next question here. Animals or organisms floating on the surface of water. Again, this is a very easy question for you to answer. Yes, it is called as plankton. So what are they actually called as? Organisms which passively float. What are they? Which passively float on water surface. That is, they float on water surface are called as planktons. Floating animals are also called as zooplanktons, and when they are comprising of plants, they are called as phytoplanktons. Therefore, the correct answer to this question is option A, plankton. Okay, so you must have seen when you travel in the ponds and rivers or any stagnant water, you find these planktons floating. Therefore, the correct answer is option A. Next question here. Organ Organ pipe coral is dash. What do you mean by this? What is it actually? Because we must have not heard about this, right? What is this pipe coral? We can simply call it as pipe coral. Coral we can understand, but what do you mean pipe coral? Okay, see here, pipal coral classification includes tubifora. Okay, you must have seen the organ pipe coral, which is also called as Tubipora musca, is actually the native to the waters of the Indian Ocean. So what do you call it as? Tubipora musca. Okay, they are the native is the Indian Ocean. Okay. Apart from that, you can also find them in Pacific Ocean, it seems. It is the only known species of the genus Tubipora. These species are very soft, and you must have seen how a coral looks, right? They are in different colors. You must have seen in natural geography channels or other channels where they explore the underwater seas. You must have seen how the coral looks like sponges with huge pores they look like, right? So here on each tube, the series of polyps which have a tight, they'll have tentacles in them. Okay, usually their number is 8. The skeleton is bright colored but is typically obscured with numerous polyps. So you call that pores as polyps. Okay, so organ pipe coral belongs to Tubifora. The correct answer is option A. Okay, it is included in the class of Anthozoa. Okay, next question here. An important characteristic, okay, an important characteristic that hemichordates share with chordates is dash. Okay, what do you mean by chordates first? Let's discuss that first. Because hemi is different, but what is chordates in general? How can you differentiate them? See, chordata or chordates, okay, they are the animal of the phylum which belongs to chordata. During some period of their life cycle, chordates possess something specific called as notochord. You must have heard. A dorsal nerval cord, which is a pharyngeal slit, endostyle and post-anal tail. There are 5 anatomical features that define in the phylum. So what animals are in the phylum of chordata? Are fish, see for example, let's take here. So can you just tell me whether fishes are chordatas? See, chordatas are divided into 3 subphyla: vertebrata, then you have seal cephalochordata, then you have something called urochordata. So when I say vertebrates, fish, amphibians, all that will come under that. When I say urochordata, you have seaquids coming under it. When I say cephalochordata, they include lancelets. Now the important characteristic that hemichordates share with chordata is that pharynx, the pharynx part, the pharynx with the gill slits are present. Notochord is present in chordates only. Ventral tubular nerve is present in non-chordates. Therefore, the one that they share among themselves is the pharynx with the gill slits. The correct answer is option B. Next question here. Which of the following features is not present in the phylum Arthropoda? Okay. Here you need to remember one thing. All arthropods possess a stiff exoskeleton composed primarily of what? Chitin. See, chitin is also present in fungi. Arthropod bodies are divided into segments. Parapodia is paired lateral appendages extending from the body segments, while arthropod appendages may either be branched or unbranched. They do not possess a joint appendages. Therefore, the correct answer is parapodia. Option C is the answer. They do not comprise both. Okay, either they are branched or unbranched. Okay, next question here. Which group of animals belong to the same phylum? Okay, now you have to analyze the options here. Earthworm, pinworm, tapeworm, prawn, scorpion, locusta, sponge, sea anemone, starfish, malarial parasite, amoeba, mosquito. So here amoeba is washed out, so this is not the answer. Sponge, sea anemone, starfish, once again it's not the answer. The correct answer is prawn, scorpion and locust. Prawn, scorpion and the locust belong to the phylum Arthropoda. This is the largest phylum of the Animalia. Over 2/3 of the all named species on the earth are mostly or predominantly Arthropoda. Phylum is named as due to the presence of the joint appendages. We already saw in the earlier question where we saw about the branched and the unbranched appendages, right? So here if you see it is joint appendages. And out of the four options, the correct one is option B, because prawns, scorpion, and lacosta, they belong to the family Arthropoda, while the rest, they are not equal. Therefore, the correct answer is option B. Okay, so with this, we complete the part 3 of Animal Kingdom. Hope to meet you in the next part of the same chapter. Thank you.